Yes. My name is Greg. And that little pesky. No, gnome. Was he a gnome? No, he was a goblin. He tasted like a gnome. His name was, Gransdo. Yes. Well, now that we're recording this after the fact, I've managed to, how do you say, have lunch. Let's go with. For some reason, though, his, curse on me is taking effect. My voice sounds like his now. Anyways. Religion. Let us speak of it. I remember a boy once saying that he wanted a world of peace. So I asked him how he would achieve this peace. He said through violence and death. To my heart, oh, that boy was smart. He continued with, the world must be so sick and... boy, God, what the hell? The world must be so sick of death and violence that peace is all that remains. Even the gods won't stop us on that day. After the heroes of Nestra fell, the world forgot about them. The world went back to normal, and over the last 10 years, new life has come to be. There we go, my voice is coming back. The pantheons that now exist after the heroes of Nestra fell are as follows. The House of Rage, a pantheon focused on those who enjoy war and conquest. The gods are all great warriors and warlords. This house would fall to a man named Logoliths, the Red Death, the founder of the House of Wrath and Rage. Therefore the House of Rage fell, unfortunately, and all of its followers were either killed or converted to the House of Wrath and Rage. After his rise to power, the new pantheon was called the Void of Wrath and Rage. He would gain his four horsemen and issue the creation of a holy order. This the first of the four pantheons to do so. The Walkers of the Void would go on to become one of the greatest knightly orders to walk the earth. Their current leader, Gragon the Stone Slayer, is widely known as the greatest warrior in history. This pantheon was only created by the gathering of allies, and thus lives on that message. Their symbol is a gray skull with a wick sticking out the top. The Gods of Balance, a pantheon led by Nyx Riversong, a powerful high god said to be the strongest of the four high gods. He is a god who protects and keeps the balance between the gods and mortals. He is also called the god of choice, due to being the god who awards and creates the demigods, and approves their ascension. His pantheon consists of Nicol Bolas and Ugin, two draconic gods who work as yin and yang to one another. And since the heroes of Nestra, he has become more bitter and withdrawn his approval of the world, declaring the world was unjust and does not deserve someone as great as himself. The symbol of his followers seems to be the yin and yang of dragons. The fallen gods, well, nothing is currently known about this pantheon, but they are worshipped in the far green Orcish lands, and their leader is Calfell the Risen. And their symbol has been found on a few patrons in these parts, mostly consisting of a single feather. Sometimes dipped in gold, sometimes silver, sometimes nothing at all. The Throne of Hades, a group of gods who run the underworld led by Hastur, known as the King in Yellow. He is a god who runs all the underworld and typically does nothing with the mortal world. He enjoys to disturb the other gods and thus has caused many of holy wars for his entertainment. His servants include, well, his servants don't exist really anymore after certain members. Those of you who don't know or haven't heard of them, the Black Scales organization dealt with Hastur's underlings. And then his brother Siphus, who is unknown in most of the part, and Gravelord Nito, a god who seems to fall as special in the Tiefling lands, due in part to him being the god that gives the world necromancy magic. Those are the only two servants he has as of now. This is all I have found over the years of my travels. The symbols of the worshippers of the Throne of Hades is a gold skull with antlers. The four holy orders that were created after the ascension and creation of the Void of Wrath and Rage are as follows. The Walkers of the Void, led by Gragon the Stone Slayer, who believed in the main rule, no killing unless they deserve it, and to fight with all they have to the death. The favored spells are Magia Imperium and Raging Night. The Blue Wolves, led by Rever Rongus, one of the Black Scales who has retired from his days of adventuring, believe in maintaining a balance of power in all the lands, no matter their rank. Their current favored spells, since the God of Balance have withdrawn, or there is no current favored spells since the God of Balance have withdrawn their blessings. The Skulled Shields, led by an unknown mage who believe in the idea of death coming to all at any time. Their current favored spells are Power Word Kill and Raise Dead. The Fallen currently have no holy order that we know of. On the next slide, we've got the Old Gods and the High King have come forth as well to offer their powers to the select few. From left to right on the Old Gods are destruction, time, and creation for their symbols. After the heroes of Nestra vanished, a single creature rose above all else, apparently having successfully stood against the King of Kings on his own. Now the God of Time position has been fulfilled, and uh, and the Trinity completed. God, Gransdo wasn't lying when he said this was written terribly, but I did not write. It was Bob, the bastard. You know, Bob tasted of grease. Grease. Oh, how does a dwarf taste of nothing but grease? Ugh. As I was saying, and lastly on the next slide is the king's symbol. Only those chosen by the king himself may wear it, and so far only two have. Wow, that was a weird pause. We shall see what comes of their new status. To be honest, all we know here at the Crimson Talon is the fact that the two are kings, or maybe queens, we don't know. We just know they're rulers. On the next slide, we have a bit of a tale to tell. It was requested by a few of our underlings, so let us tell it. On this slide, on these slides we see on this slide we see the heroes of Nestor as depicted by the god of Wrath and Rage. He had their stories written by one of his chosen. The current ruler of the kingdom of Nestor on the far left, named after the battle that the king participated in. Logger, the rogue king of House Entrium. We all know his story, the great human king who stood with the other heroes against the tides of 100,000 enemies and withstood with all their strength. Next, himself, Logoliths, the Red Death, or as he was called in his mortal days, Log, the God Butcher. A general who single-handedly wiped out liches, beholders, and gods alike, a man destined for godhood ever since his birth, when he stood over the average man. Mr. Snips, the carnivorous doctor, a man with an appetite for human flesh and a love for inventions. Although the god of wrath and rage takes credit for so many creations, he does admit that without Mr. Snip's input, he may never have achieved them outright. Knut, the Scaled, a human noble of House Vedkas, a great warrior who even fought off death itself. He was known for refounding House Vedkas and gaining the lands of House Gundersling. It is said that he even single-handedly butchered the entirety of House Gundersling, including its lord. And lastly, the Crimson Shield, a great warrior who sought to challenge even the High King himself. A great dwarven soldier from the Dragonborn lands, some say his beard was worth its weight in gold. But he was the shield who protected man at its weakest and repelled the Dark Dwarf so that Logoliths could destroy them. Or so the legends are told. And now let Gransdo's recording complete.